Good evening, I'm Ren Wadsworth, and this is your nonstop local news update. To start off tonight, we take a look into the past as our John Martin takes us on a tour of the Western Heritage Center and shows us how to teach about the past and its connection to right now.
The Western Heritage Center has 3 brand new exhibits that are open to the public. One exhibit downstairs is on loan to us from Lee Silliman. The exhibit is called Yellowstone Engraved, and it features original lithographic engravings from about 1870 to 1900. These are the images that convinced Congress that Yellowstone was worth protecting, that it was important enough to set Yellowstone aside as the first U.S. national park. We have an exhibit called Ghost Towns of Montana. It features the photography of a Hungarian immigrant named Dennis Istvansvi. The photographs were taken between 1960 and about 1980. So the images, the buildings that are captured in this photography don't even exist anymore. Our year-long exhibit, which is based entirely on original research, is called Breaking Bread, Food and Community Identity. And it really looks at how food is an active ingredient in how communities identify themselves and how people identify themselves within the workings of their community and their relationships and family ties.
An impressive new collection for sure here in Billings, showcasing beauty, mystery, and advocacy. But in 2023, some of that advocacy, in this case giving a voice to marginalized communities, can be considered controversial.
It's so hard to tell history in 2023. Everybody feels like they have an idea of how history should be told. Everybody is invested in how history should be told. It's a massive political point right now that people are arguing about. The Western Heritage Center is very cognizant of our responsibility in telling stories. We recognize that every story has multiple perspectives, and we respect and value all of those perspectives.
History can make most anyone uncomfortable. A lot of the times it is ugly. So the Western Heritage Center has a plan. Let the people from the past tell their own story.
Really, and we've done this several times with multiple stories that we've told. There's tough information in it. We are going to put that in context. We are going to provide you with the information about where and why and how, but we're also going to put it directly next to the words of somebody who experienced that. A prime example is in this exhibit, we have a sign that says, "We serve whites only, no Mexicans or dogs." We have multiple oral histories of immigrants from Mexico, second-generation immigrants from Mexico, Native people who experienced racism in restaurants. They experienced discrimination in restaurants. Several of them name names of the businesses that had these signs in their window.
So why do some educators continue to risk harassment or hounding to bring truth to light? Well, rarely do things grow or change without testing bonds, without testing limits.
If we are satisfied to stay within the limitations of how we live, that's great. Nothing gets better. You're satisfied to keep a status quo with that. And as a historian, that can be frustrating because history happens in cycles. And so as a historian, I can look back and see the cycle and know, well, if we hang out where we're at and not try to change anything, I know exactly where we're headed next, and I don't want to be there.
And some of the time, that cycle leads back to things like racism and bigotry.
I think anytime things get hard, you lose your job, you can't afford your rent, groceries are expensive. Anytime life gets hard, our inclination is to lash out and to find an easy answer. Oftentimes, our focus becomes, what can we do to fix it? Well, the easiest thing to do is to just revert back to the last time things were easy. Part of that is identifying the people who are different from me. And if things were okay before they were here, then we need to get rid of them. And the best way to help other people think the same way I do is to make them into a villain. And so let's capitalize on a generalization or a feature or something that just kind of makes us uncomfortable, and let's amplify that to turn them into something else. Because if I can make other people think that they're not entirely human, then it's easier for us to discriminate against them, it's easier for us to dislike them, and it's easier for us to push them away without feeling guilty ourselves.
Not always about minorities. A very specific example of this can be seen in the early 20th century after the ratification of the 19th Amendment.
Great Depression hits, and one of the first things that happen is that there are federal laws that bar women from the workplace, that bar women from higher education, there is a federal law that says it is illegal for women to earn the same amount of money as a man doing the same job. Because the mentality is, well, we just need to make everything the way it was when everything was okay, and all of the problems will be fixed again.
Again, history can be uncomfortable, but that is not the mission of the Western Heritage Center.
Our goal is to help provide you that information, that contextual information, so that you can make better decisions moving forward for you and your family.
Thank you so much for that, John. A lot of information in there and a lot of great information to take home with you. But that's all for now. Be sure to come right back here in the morning to get your day started with Wake Up Nonstop Local. I'm Ren Wadsworth. Thanks for tuning in to your Nonstop Local News.